Now, I really did not want to make this video, to be honest with you. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but to be honest, I just got discouraged because I hate recording. I can't edit for shit. So it takes me way longer than it should, and it gets really frustrating. But also because every time I break this information regarding this hearing that I was actually at, people don't believe me. They think I'm lying until the news media, the mainstream actually covers it, and they're like, oh, okay. And then when I reach back to these people who called me a liar, they're just they're they're just silent. But I was supposed to make this video yesterday about the snitch in this case, and there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of people who've come out and say who they're so sure is the snitch. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna pretty much give you the entire lowdown, and I just hope that people who listen to this just share it as well. So basically, so I can get the credit. That's it. I've seen a lot of people steal my content. I don't want to name any names, but there's people who just kind of run with what I'm saying. But it's okay. That's fine. So I'm gonna start from the beginning, and you're gonna hear some new information on this video. But I'm gonna start from the beginning. So in court, when the judge asked the prosecutors, "What is your strongest evidence against 6ix9ine or against the 9 Treys, the defendants?" The prosecutor said social media, the surveillance, and audio recording. Now the judge replied, audio recording, and you could tell the prosecutor may not wanted to give that information out at that time. At least that's how it seemed to me. And then the prosecutor said after that, yes, we have audio recording from a confidential informant. And I'm pretty okay. So before I even get to that, so that's what he said. And I'm gonna give my theory on who I think is and isn't the confidential informant. First, I want to say is if anybody gives you a name for this informant, they're lying. No one knows who it is. It wasn't stated in court. If anyone knows who it is, it's the FBI. They haven't released that information, and they don't have to release the information unless the defendant's lawyers can prove why it would be helpful in their case. Because CIs remain CIs. They don't have to come out unless the defendants can say, hey, we need to use this testimony for this and that. That's the only time they reveal the identity of us. Like if I called in the FBI and I gave an anonymous tip, they're not required to find me. They just go with the tip, right? And if the tip leads to an arrest, that's what it is. They're not gonna come find me. They're not required to. So with that being said, I'm gonna go to who may or may not be the snitch. Okay. So people have said, I'm just gonna go down the line. So the most accused person, right, from the beginning was 6ix9ine. They said 6ix9ine was the snitch. I don't think so. Okay. If you're saying 6ix9ine is the snitch, you're probably saying that because, we know 6ix9ine isn't a gangster, right? We know he didn't grow up shooting people, whatever. He did grow up in hood, but he didn't affiliate with the 9 Treys until 2017. That's pretty much known, even by the FBI. They stated that too, that he didn't come into the picture till 2017, and they've been investigating them since 2013. Regardless, if you're saying 6ix9ine is the snitch, this is why he may look like the snitch, right? Because he was removed from his facility and that was MDC, and he was put in a different facility, right? Which they're calling the snitch jail. I don't necessarily think that's why he's there. I think he's just a kid who has a lot of enemies who may be in physical danger. Like the feds themselves admitted that people were trying to harm him. So him being put in there doesn't, to me, say that he's a snitch. But people are going to point to that as why he may be a snitch. The other thing is, when 6ix9ine was in the courtroom, like I stated in my previous video, he wasn't sitting with the rest of the defendants. He was sitting 2 rows behind them to the corner. He wasn't looking at them. Shotty tried to look at him half a dozen times. 6ix9ine was not trying to look at him. 6ix9ine looked at me more than he looked at Shotty, to be honest with you. He was looking at the ceiling. He looked at his family a couple of times. He never locked eyes with Shotty. And the defendants, when they said about the confidential informant, everyone genuinely looked confused. Okay, so I know the confidential informant can't be any of the defendants. Now, there's one defendant who wasn't present in court. I don't know if media's reported this yet, but there's one defendant who's in a hospital. That's the one that was shot outside a restaurant when 6ix9ine had his meeting with his managers or whatever, and he got into it with this undercover cop or retired cop who had a gun and shot him. That guy's in hospital. He got out the hospital, had complications, and had to go back, so he wasn't present in court. Could that mean he's the snitch? I wouldn't say so. And here's why I wouldn't say so. And here's also the reason I think 6ix9ine is not the snitch, or Shotty, or Mel Murder, or the other dude that was there. They all pled not guilty. I'm not 100%, familiar with how court proceedings work. I don't think snitches plead not guilty. I think they do deals, or they plead no contest, stuff like that. To my knowledge, snitches don't plead, or informants don't plead not guilty. So that leads me to think that the informant wasn't present in the court, and the informant isn't someone who has made an official plea, right? So I'm going to go down the list. Is it 6ix9ine? No. Is it Shotty? No. Is it Mel Murder? No. Is it the dude who's in the hospital? No. Right? And this is according to me. Now, me and Domislive, we had an hour-long conversation on who the snitch might be. And this was yesterday. In the morning, I called him and we talked about it. I told him a piece of information that he hasn't really put in a video yet, and I understand why. Because it's just my word, and it's not like I can prove it. I didn't go in there. I'm not the stenographer, and I didn't go there with a pen and a pad. I'm just telling him what I saw. But before I get to that, let me get to Akademiks. People are saying Akademiks is a snitch. That can't be is it possible? Could it happen? Yes. Highly improbable. Right? If Akademiks is a snitch, Akademiks has to be an amazing actor. And here's the piece of information that no one has shared. Now, if I remember correctly, and I think I am, the confidential informant has existed since August. And that's a smoking gun that no one is presenting. I think because the lawyer might have said it under his breath that people didn't pick it up, but I was sitting right behind the prosecutor. They've had the CI since August. So whoever the CI is knew that there was an investigation going on since August. I don't think it's 6ix9ine because 6ix9ine has been screaming Treyway since August, September, November before he got picked up. And now 6ix9ine he was in custody in August, which is kind of spooky, but I still don't think he's the snitch. But he was in custody in August in Houston for that case he had with that kid. So when I spoke to Domislive, right, I said, my theory is the confidential informant has to do with the kidnapping. I think it all goes back to the kidnapping. Now, Dom, he thought it may be Jorge, who was 6ix9ine's driver that 6ix9ine fired. This hasn't been big news. I don't think a lot of people know about this, but 6ix9ine had a driver named Jorge, Jorge. And Jorge was talking about how 6ix9ine was doing this and that to his ex, and 6ix9ine didn't like it, so 6ix9ine fired him. So he does have animosity against 6ix9ine, but that's a whole nother step than being a CI. That means you're voluntarily are putting yourself in danger. It's not like, they may give you a reward if they convict 6ix9ine or the 9 Treys, but the amount of danger you're just willingly putting yourself in, it doesn't make any sense. So I would say the CI is someone who's facing prosecution who wants to do less time, right? So he was basically kind of threatened into being a CI. That's what makes the most sense to me. So all of a sudden, I just think back to the timeline, right? It all goes back to the timeline. I'm like, who, like, what happened step by step? So 6ix9ine was the first person that got picked up by the feds. He got picked up November 18th, I think in the afternoon, and then Shadi got picked up, and then Mel Murder got picked up, and then whoever else got picked up. But what about before that? Now, one of the 6ix9ine kidnappers was picked up November 6th, I believe, early in the month. And it was one guy. And I know one guy didn't kidnap 6ix9ine. In the original report, they said that they had at least a couple more people on video, which means, to me, they must have apprehended at least 3 people, but only one made the news as being reported. So it kind of made me think that one of the other 2 people may have been the informant, because the guy who got got reported, he pled not guilty too. So I don't think it was him. No. So I was telling Domislive, I was like, there's a good chance it's one of this other 2 people. However, the CI was wiretapped. So whoever kidnapped 6ix9ine is definitely wasn't going to be around 6ix9ine or around, around Treyway or Shadi or anything like that, unless Shadi was in on the kidnapping. But I don't know about that. I'm not going to speculate. So, again, I told Dom, hey, if you use this information, give me credit. But I didn't think, deep down, I was like, he's a journalist, so he's not going to kind of just go off of this. He's going to go off of official news and stuff, which is fine. So, fast forward to, I think, last night, where they released all that information, and you pretty much found out the informant was close to Shadi and close to Mel. So, either it's one of the dudes involved with the kidnapping, which would mean that dude was still close with the rest of the people, even though they weren't close with 6ix9ine, or one of the dudes involved with the kidnapping told the feds where to get someone who was still close to 6ix9ine or still close to Shadi and them, and told them, hey, this person will tell you what needs to be known, and you just have to catch him, threaten him, But, I mean, it's pretty much obvious now that one of the people in Treyway's camp knew about this. It's, again, it's not Akademiks. I just saw Akademiks today. He was upset as hell. He looked like he was about to cry, but he had to defend his name, and I get that. And I was telling him, hey, if you need me to speak up for you, I will. I know it can't be you. If it was you, you would have had to know this since August, and you're still making videos and doing all this stuff. Like it wouldn't. Like if 6ix9ine was the CI, right? God damn it! If Akademiks was the CI, this is how I think it would play out. He would have told 6ix9ine, because they're friends. He would have found a way to tell 6ix9ine, and everything would just cease in terms of the antics. Right. If 6ix9ine was a CI, if Akademiks was a CI, you would have noticed a different, like a noticeable change in their behavior from August to now. And definitely nothing seemed odd about how they were carrying along. They just looked like they were business as usual, right, from that time period. So I know Akademiks can't be the CI, or 6ix9ine can't be the CI, because they would have had to been just the best actors of all time. Now, here's the advice I have for Akademiks. Akademiks, delete all your social media interaction with 6ix9ine. Go on IG and unsend everything. Delete it. Freaking block it. If there's a way to delete your text messages, delete it. Because they're coming for 6ix9ine's social media. That's what they stated in court. When the judge asked the prosecutor, what other evidence do you have to obtain? They said 6ix9ine's social media. They're going to comb through that thing. They're going to find whatever they think it's necessary for the case. I honestly believe that they're going to question Akademiks. I don't think, like I said, I don't believe Akademiks is a CI, but I believe Akademiks, I believe there's a good chance that the FBI is going to bring in Akademiks for questioning. So if you see that happening, it doesn't mean he's the snitch. It just means that they may consider him necessary for this investigation. All other evidence that the prosecutors have, they're going to turn it in 2 weeks to the defense to build their case. But while they do that, they're still working on getting more evidence, and that evidence is going to be social media. I know this for a fact. So my advice to Akademiks would be to delete everything. I mean, it's not tampering with evidence at this time, I don't think. Akademiks has stated that he wasn't involved with any criminal activity. I believe it. But if you knew about it, if it was hinted, I don't know. Just delete it. I'm going to make another video on if I think 6ix9ine is going to beat this case. And I'll make a couple of videos, actually. One of them is if I think 6ix9ine is going to beat it, and I'm going to make a video of how to beat it, how to beat a federal case based on all the stuff I've learned with this. Do me a favor again, like, subscribe. Please follow my Instagram, and sharing is important so people don't steal my content. All right, cool. Peace.